The BFG by Roald Dahl. Chapter 15. The Great Plan. We've absolutely got to stop them, Sophie cried. Put me back in your pocket quick and we'll chase after them and warn everyone in England that they're coming. Oh, redonkulous and impossible. They's going 2 times as fast as me and they's finishing their guzzle before he's even halfway. But we can't just sit here doing nothing. How many girls and boys are they going to eat tonight? Oh, many. The flesh lump-eating giant alone has a most squackling wopsy appetite. Will he snatch them out of their beds while they're sleeping? Ooh, like peas out of a puddle. I can't bear to think of it. Ooh, then don't. For years and years I sitting here on this very rock every night after night when they's galloping off, and I's feeling so sad for all the human beings they's going to gobble up. But I's had to get used to it. There's nothing I can do. If I wasn't a titchy little runty giant, only 24 feet high, then I'd be stopping them. But that is absolutely out the window. Do you always know where they're going? Oh, always. Every night they's yelling at me as they go bootling past. The other day they was yelling, we's off to Mississippi and Missouri to guzzle them both. Disgusting. I hate them. She and the big friendly giant sat quietly side by side on the blue rock in the gathering dusk. There they are. Sophie had never felt so helpless in her life. After a while, she stood up and cried out, I can't stand it. Just think of those poor girls and boys who are going to be eaten alive in a few hours' time. We can't just sit here and do nothing. We've got to go after those brutes. No, we must, Sophie cried. Why won't you go? The BFG sighed and shook his head firmly. I's told you 5 or 6 times, and the 3rd will be the last. I's never showing myself to human beings. Why ever not? If I do, they'll be putting me in the zoo with all the jiggery rafts and catty piddlers. Nonsense, Sophie said. And they'll be sending you straight back to an orphanage. Grown-up human beings is not famous for their kindness. They's all squiffle rotters and grink sludgers. That simply isn't true, Sophie cried angrily. Some of them are very kind indeed. Who? Name one. The Queen of England. You can't tell her you can't call her a squiffle rotter or a grink sludger. Well, you can't call her a squeak pip or a not mucher either, Sophie said, getting angrier and angrier. Ooh, the flesh lump eaters longing dearly to guzzle her up, the BFG said, smiling a little now. Who? The Queen? Sophie cried aghast. Oh yes, flesh lump eater says he's never eaten Queen, and he thinks perhaps she has an especially scrumdiddlyumptious flavour. How dare he? Oh, but flesh lump eater says there's too many soldiers round her palace, and he dursn't try it. He'd better not. He's also saying he'd very much like to guzzle one of the soldiers in his pretty red suit, but he's worried about those black furry hats that he's wearing. He thinks they might be sticking in his throat. I hope he chokes. Flesh lump eater is a very careful giant. Sophie was silent for a moment. Then suddenly, in a voice filled with excitement, she cried out, I've got it! By golly, I think I've got it! Got what? The answer. We'll go to the Queen. It's a terrific idea. If I went and told the Queen about those disgusting man-eating giants, I'm sure she'd do something about it. The BFG looked down at her sadly and shook his head. Oh, she's never believing you. Never in a month of Mondays. I think she would. Never. It's sounding such a wonky tall story. The Queen will be laughing and saying, what awful rub squash. She would not. Of course she would. I told you before that human beings is simply not believing in giants. Then it's up to us to find a way of making her believe in them. And how was you getting in to see the Queen anyway? Now hold on a sec. Just you hold on a sec, because I've got another idea. Oh, your ideas are full of crodswoggle. Not this one, Sophie said. You say that if we tell the Queen, she would never believe us. Are you certain she wouldn't? But we aren't going to tell her. We don't have to tell her. We'll make her dream it. Oh, that's an even more froth-bungling suggestion. Dreams is lots of fun, but nobody's believing in dreams either. You's only believing in a dream while you's actually dreaming it. But as soon as you's waking up, you's saying, oh, thank goodness it was only a dream. Don't you worry about that part of it. I can fix that. Oh, never can you fix it. I can. I swear I can. But first of all, let me ask you a very important question. Here it is. Can you make a person dream absolutely anything in the world? Anything you like, the BFG said proudly. If I said I wanted to dream that I was in a flying bathtub with silver wings, could you make me dream it? I could. But how? You obviously don't have exactly that dream in your collection. I do not, but I could soon be mixing it up. How could you mix it up? Oh, it's a little bit like mixing a cake. If you're putting in the right amounts of all the different things into it, you're making the cake come out any way you want. Sugary, spongy, curranty, Christmassy, or grobswitchy. It's the same with dreams. Go on. Oh, I has dillions of dreams on my shelves. Right or left? Right. I has dreams about bathtubs, lots of them. I has dreams about silver wings. I has dreams about flying. So all I has to do is mix those dreams together in the proper way, and I is very quickly making a dream where you is flying in a bathtub with silver wings. I see what you mean. But I didn't know you could mix one dream with another. Oh, dreams likes being mixed. They's getting very lonesome all by themselves in those glassy bottles. Right. Now then, do you have dreams about the Queen of England? Oh, do I? Lots of them. And about giants? Of course. And about giants eating people? Oh, squiggles of them. And about little girls like me? Oh, little girls like you? Oh, that's the most commonest of all. Why, there's bottles and bottles to dream about little girls. And you could mix them all up just as I wanted you to. Sophie asked, getting more and more excited. Of course, but how is this helping us? I think you's barking up the wrong dog. Now, hold on. Listen carefully. I want you to mix a dream which you will blow into the Queen of England's bedroom when she's asleep. And this is how it will go. Oh, now hang on a minute. How was I possibly going to get near enough to the Queen of England's bedroom to blow in my dream? You was talking dumb silly. Oh, I'll tell you that bit later. For the moment, please listen carefully. Here is the dream I want you to mix. Are you paying attention? Oh, very close. I want the Queen to dream that 9 disgusting giants, each one about 50 feet tall, are galloping to England in the night. She must dream their names as well. What are their names again? Flesh Lump Eater, Man Hugger, Bone Cruncher, Child Chewer, Meat Dripper, Gizzard Gulper, Maid Masher, Blood Bottler, and the Butcher Boy. Let her dream all those names. And let her dream that they'll be creeping into England in the depths of the witching hour and snatching little boys and girls from their beds. Let her dream that they'll be reaching into the bedroom windows and pulling the little girls out of their beds, and then... Do they eat them on the spot, or do they carry them away first? Oh, they're usually just popping them straight into their mouths like popcorn. Put that in the dream. And then... Then the dream must say that when their tummies are full, they will all go galloping back to giant country where no one can find them. Is that all? Certainly not. You must then explain to the Queen in her dream that there is a big friendly giant who can tell her where all those beasts are living, so that she can send her soldiers and her armies to capture them once and for all. And now, let her dream one last and very, very important thing. Let her dream that there is a little girl called Sophie sitting on her windowsill who will tell her where the big friendly giant is hiding. Oh, where is he hiding? We'll come to that later. So the Queen dreams her dream, right? Right. Then she wakes up, and the first thing that she thinks is, oh, what a horrid dream. I'm so glad it was only a dream. And then she looks up from her pillow, and what does she see? I don't know. What does she see? She sees a little girl called Sophie sitting on her windowsill. Right there, in real life, before her very eyes. Now, how was you going to be sitting on the Queen's windowsill, may I beg? You are going to put me there. And that's the lovely part about it. If someone dreams that there's a little girl sitting on her windowsill, and then she wakes up and sees the little girl really is sitting there, that is a dream come true, is it not? Well, he's beginning to see where you driving to. If the Queen's knowing that part of her dream is true, then perhaps she's believing the rest of the dream is true as well. That's about it. But I shall have to convince her of that myself. You said you was wanting the dream to say there is a big friendly giant who's also going to talk to the Queen. Absolutely. You must. You're the only one who can tell her where to find the other giants. How is I meeting the Queen? I is not wanting to be shooted by her soldiers. The soldiers are only in the front of the palace. At the back there's a huge garden. There's no soldiers in there at all. There's a very high wall with spikes on it around the garden to stop people climbing in. But you could simply walk over that. How was you knowing all this about the Queen's palace? Well, last year I was in a different orphanage. It was in London and we used to go for walks all around there. As you hoping me to find the palace? I was never dared to go hiding and sneaking around London in my life. I'll show you the way. Oh, I was a bit frightened of London. Don't be. It's full of tiny dark streets and there are very few people about in the witching hour. The BFG picked Sophie up between one finger and thumb and placed her gently on the palm of the other hand. Is the Queen's palace very big? Huge, Sophie said. Then how was we finding the right bedroom? Well, that's up to you. You're supposed to be an expert at that sort of thing. And you was absolutely sure the Queen will not put me in a zoo with all the caterpillars? Of course she won't. You'll be a hero, and you'll never have to eat snozzcumbers again. Sophie saw the BFG's eyes widen. He licked his lips. Oh, you mean it? You really mean it? No more disgustive snozzcumbers? You couldn't get one if you wanted to. Humans don't grow them. Oh, that did it. The BFG got to his feet. Well, when is you wanting me to mix this special dream? Now. At once, Sophie said. When is we going to see the Queen? Tonight. As soon as you've mixed the dream. Tonight? Why such a flush-bunking flurry? If we can't save tonight's children, we can anyway save tomorrow's. And what is more, I'm getting famished. I haven't had a thing to eat for 24 hours. Oh, then we better get crackling, the BFG said, moving back towards the cave. Sophie kissed him on the tip of his thumb. I knew you'd do it, she said. Come on, let's hurry.